Hi everybody, I have a deck to share with you today and a hashtag. So we'll start with the walkthrough, and if you don't want to watch the walkthrough, then you can drag your cursor to the hashtag, your RWS checklist at the end of the walkthrough. I recently went to Makeplayingcards.com because I have a favorite RWS tarot deck, and I bought it there, and I was afraid that, at some point something might happen to it and I might miss out and not be able to get it again because, I don't know how long they last on there, if their time is limited, or what the chances might be of getting it there in the future. So I thought, well, this is a case where I should probably buy myself a backup copy. It's the RWS 2.0 by James Rickleff, who you can look up. He's an author and tarot creator. And it has really unusual coloring, which isn't for everybody, but I particularly like it. I won't show you here because I have a whole walkthrough on my channel you can look for and go through it a card at a time. But if it's something you're interested in, you can get it at makeplayingcards.com, and I think it was about $26. Anyway, while I was there, I noticed another RWS deck. I thought, I don't know if this is too close to others I've seen or if it's different. Anyway, when I went to buy my backup copy, I thought, I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. I looked at it a little bit closer, and it seemed like it might have some things that I particularly look for in a deck. So I'm going to show you this deck. They refer to this deck as Study Deck for Tarot Course. And it's about $22, which isn't bad. These are the backs. It's a crackle back design, and I'll just walk you through them as best I can. You'll notice that they have Pixie's font, original font, crackle backs. The coloring on them is very good. The skin tones are a little bit reddish, little, sunburnt, little tanned. The cards are not stark white. They're kind of an off-white, antique color. They are very similar to the Centennial edition, the Smith Centennial. Is that what it's called? And yeah, so they look a little bit aged. Actually, I should show you a comparison. This is the Centennial edition, which is a little bit brighter. And the Tarot of A.E. Waite, which is considerably brighter. But they both, it has very good detail and better detail, I think, than the Centennial. But it may just be because the card is larger that it looks more detailed. There are a few cards that have little minor errors. They're almost imperceptible, and I don't know if they'd matter to most of you. There's a little bit of smudging at the bottom of that. I can't even hardly see it. This one, there's a little smudging in the yellow shading up here. Nothing much to complain about, really. They don't have copyrights on them, which is nice. There's a slight, little bit more of a border at the top and the bottom than the AE weight, and the cards are a hair taller, I think. Oh, yeah, just a hair. I think you can hardly even see it. And the backs are slightly darker, not by much. It's funny, there's certain cards that I put upside down because I saw almost imperceptible flaws on, and in this light, now I'm having trouble seeing them. Oh, I think there's little white accents on these books. I'm not really sure if that's in the other deck or not. Now, I have a number of RWS decks, and I'm a Virgo, a perfectionist, and I'm always looking for that holy grail, that perfect version of the RWS that's better than all the rest, that I can sort of embrace as my go-to RWS deck. Now here's one, the star. I don't know if you can see, probably not. There's a minor little smudge on the hip. Very, almost imperceptible flaw there. Moon. The sun. There's a little dirt smudge in the corner of the label. Not much. I know I'm being really finicky and picky, but I know there are other people out there that will also be finicky and picky. There's a little bit of dirt on the border, on the bottom. On the edge of this border, it's not a perfectly clean edge. There's a little run over there. I mean, this is really nothing to make a big issue about. Oh, there's some little sloppy work in the border there. I believe that these were digitally cleaned up, and I happen to feel that while they did an excellent job, had they gone one more edit and looked closely at all of them, they could have cleaned them up and made them that much more perfect. With a couple little white flecks in the printing on there. I don't know if you can see that or not. I think the coloring on these are more accurate to the Centennial Edition than the recent Siren Imports version, which has altered color. There's a little smudge in the yellow in the background there. I think many will appreciate that these have the crackle backs, the coloring and reproduction very close to the Centennial Edition. They have Pixie's font at the bottom. This is virtually the perfect deck. And I think you can see the little line error, design error on there. That's from, I think, I can't remember if it's the Pam B version of the deck. Some people might like these better than the AE weight because they are not as bright. They're a little bit toned down. There's a couple little minor things in the yellow here. There's a little smudge and a little streak, but it's almost imperceptible. I mean, you really have to look for it. There's some kind of smudginess to the yellow there, a little bit. But these do have very much the look of like an antique version of the deck that you might have found in someone's attic. To a lot of you, you're probably not seeing anything new in these cards. They are that good and that similar to many others. And a video of this kind with this quality camera is not really giving you the best definition on these. You kind of need to see them in front of you. I'll go a little faster because most of you know, probably all of you know this deck very well and won't discern much in the difference. I'm trying to decide whether I like this one or the AE weight better, because the AE weight, they both have the same back, which I like. The AE weight is a little brighter and cheerier colors, but it also has the stark white borders. These are off-white and aged looking. And the definition is pretty much the same for both. I still like the RWS 2.0 the best, but that coloring is vastly different than the other decks. This is much more traditional. So we'll go to your RWS checklist. Let me refer to my notes here. In your search for the Tarot Holy Grail, what's on your checklist of make or break items when selecting that perfect deck? I'm talking about Pamela Colman Smith's artwork, but this could apply to any RWS system-based deck. And I will put these in the comments or the description below so you can respond to this hashtag. Number 1, the box. Tuck box, 2-part, magnetic enclosure, tin or bag. What do you look for when you buy a deck? How should it arrive? One of those oversized boxes? A box that just fits the cards? Personally, I don't like tuck boxes. I don't like oversized boxes. They tend to, the oversized ones are beautiful, but they take up a lot of real estate on my shelves. The tuck boxes, if it's a deck you're going to store away and not use very much, that's fine. But if it's one that you regularly use and you're popping in and out of the box a lot, there's a lot of wear and tear on that tuck flap. And I don't like that. I like the lift-off boxes. But if I'm going to be traveling somewhere, I really want something, that I can take with me in my bag to a cafe or something. So I actually prefer the metal tins. And if a box doesn't come in a tin, you can buy these little tins at Makeplayingcards.com. And they have a little embossed MPC on it, which is, the only drawback. It's a beautiful sturdy box, and the lid is snug on there. It won't fall off, but it comes off easily with a slight pull. And they are relatively inexpensive. I think like $3 or $4 a piece, something like that. And interchangeable. You can put different decks in them. It's tarot deck size. And I think my very first video I did on this channel was about tin boxes. Yeah. So that's my choice. Some people like bags. I love the look and feel of bags, but I worry if the cards aren't in there snug enough, if the corners or edges are going to get bent or, destroyed, shuffling around in there. And then also, if you have a bottle of water or something in your bag, or you're out in the rain, are they going to get wet? Well, if they're in a tin box, they're not likely to get wet or damaged. So that's my preference. But it's not a make or break thing for me, the box. I'll buy it in whatever box it's in. If it's something I really love, I'll take it out of the box and put it in a tin. Number 2, the little white book. Little book, big book, app, no book. Well, I'm not really big on books. I will buy tarot books separately to read. I'm not that thrilled about books that come with tarot decks. For the most part, I haven't found them really delving into a lot of information that the deck itself doesn't give me. And tarot in of itself is a book. Why do you need a separate book, especially if it's in the RWS system that you're familiar with already? Most of them come routinely with boxes and books. Oh, by the way, both this one, which I said, the study deck for tarot course, and the RWS 2.0, they just come shrink wrapped. They don't come with books or boxes, just to let you know. And that's fine with me. I'm just going to take them out of those containers anyway and do what I want with them. Put them in a bag or put them in a tin. I believe you can also order boxes through Makeplayingcards.com, generic boxes, but that's a whole other issue. So I don't really need the little white books, and a lot of times the little white books just have keywords that aren't particularly helpful. They're so generic they could apply to almost any deck, and they're not specific to the card deck you happen to be working with. So that's not a make or break thing for me. Number 3, card size. Tarot, larger, average, smaller, mini, and their shuffleability. So I like a deck that feels good in my hands. So it's like I like average size, or I also like the size, like playing card size, or the smaller ones that come in a tin. These work, well for me. Both shuffle very well. I don't like the real teeny tiny mini decks. They're too hard to shuffle, as are the oversized cards that you get generally in Oracle decks. I need something I can shuffle. I do overhand shuffling. I don't do the riffle shuffling. So again, with the riffle shuffling, I worry about bending the cards or damaging the edges or corners. So I'm a gentle overhand shuffler. But I need cards that are of a consistency or a finish that is slippery enough to work with. I have decks that have a matte finish or almost rubbery finish that tend to cling together in clumps of 3 and 4 cards. It's not easy to shuffle those. These, are slippery enough. It's very easy to shuffle. Number 4, card weight. Thicker, thinner, medium weight, thickness of deck. That's another thing. I don't like a deck with extra cards or on such thick stock that it's too thick to manage in your hand for shuffling. These are a good size, and compared to the Tarot of AE weight, I think they're about possibly 3 or 4 cards thicker to the deck. So they are slightly thicker, but not obnoxiously so or difficultly. So cardstock. That's number 5. Cardstock. Glossy, matte, paper, plastic, durability versus flexibility. Well, I don't mind glossy. I like them as long as they're not sticky glossy. If they're slippery glossy, it's fine. I don't use a lot of harsh light, so I don't worry about reflection. Matte is okay. I worry a little bit about matte picking up dirt and grease from your fingers and having it staining or showing on the cards or having them discolor over time. It's not something I'm keen on. Paper or plastic. I prefer paper that is coated, Plastic, I love the idea of plastic. They're waterproof. I only have one plastic card deck, and the cards are so flimsy that I don't like the I haven't found a deck yet, plastic with a thicker weight. Maybe I would like that better. I don't know. But yeah, they do need to be durable and flexible. Not so flexible that they flip right out of my hands or, fold in half, but, flexible enough that it's not like, cardboard, that's like you can't bend or shuffle at all. But they need to be durable enough to last over time. Number 6, card back design. I like the card back design is relatively important to me. Now, my favorite deck doesn't have my favorite design. I'm not thrilled with this. It's not objectionable. It's just not something I'd choose. It's not a favorite. I do love these crackle backs, and I have other decks, not non-RWS decks, that have beautiful back designs, but I don't have any here to show you at the moment, and we're focusing on RWS. So borders, borderless. Some people prefer borderless cards because the images pop. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I'm okay with borders. It depends on the deck. In terms of the RWS Pamela Colman Smith designs, I have no issues really with the borders. I can see her layout and her design, her color and so forth works for me, whether it's got a border on it or not. Having said that, I do have a couple of borderless versions of the deck, and the images do pop. And you know, the RWS 2.0 is bordered, but the skies or the ether around the images bleeds off the edge of the card beyond the borders, which I like very much. But they still sort of have a border. So yeah, that's not an issue for me. Line resolution and definition. This is really important. I want to be able to see every line and detail of Pixie's original artwork. So the sharper and clearer the image, the better for me. I don't want to mistake any of the symbolism or have it get lost in some muddle of design that's just poorly managed. So yeah, I like line resolution highly defined. Now, so far, the 2.0 is the sharpest I've ever seen, followed by the AE weight. They're both very, very good. The AE weight's drawback is the non-Pixie font. Neither one. Actually. The AE weight doesn't have any copyright info on it. Neither does this new one I told you about, Study Deck for Tarot Course. Couldn't they give it a bit better name than that? The RWS 2.0 does have a copyright, but it's unobtrusively in the border, in the off-card bleed color, and so it's not, I don't find it particularly obnoxious. But, you know, I would prefer no copyright. Attention to detail. I want to make sure that they attend to detail. Like the one I showed you, there were some minor smudges and a couple little white spots and, you know, little tiny areas of in the border that like went beyond the border. They're almost imperceptible, but you know, I appreciate it if they take time and attention to attend to those details and fix the problems. I've said this before, in the Radiant Wise Spirit, they made a mistake in, I think it was the Six of Pentacles? The one with the scales in it. One of the strings on the scale, holding the scale, is broken. It's missing. And I just think that's inexcusable. That is sloppy beyond sloppy. It ruins, you know, well, it doesn't ruin the whole deck for me, but it really sheds a light on it that I have issues with. You know, it's like, how difficult would it have been for them to, you know, fix that? One little stroke of the line, you know. Attention to detail. Number 10, historical accuracy, authenticity, and copyright information. Well, I mentioned the copyright information. I'd rather didn't have it. Authenticity, I really like decks as close as possible to what I think Pixie's original designs look like. You see a lot of these decks that the lines are thick and, you know, kind of, or they're blurry. They're not crisp and sharp and clean. You can't make stuff out. I just feel like, they should be better handled, better dealt with. The coloring, I think the coloring is important. Now, while the 2.0 has unusual coloring that's a bit inauthentic, it's sort of modernized. It's all right. I realize that. And some other decks have taken liberties with modifying the color. But if I'm looking for a reliable reference to Pixie's original work, I want the coloring as close to the original as I can get it, as I can find it. Number 12, printing errors. I've already covered that. And 13, price. You want a price that's not like out of outer space, that's not out of control. You want a deck that's, affordable, So anyway, these are all my things that I look for in, my ongoing search for the absolute exquisite best Pamela Colman Smith tarot deck. And each deck I've gotten so far has some little issue with it. Some have fewer issues, some have more issues. Some are more important to me than others. I'd like to hear, what's important to you? What elements are make or break, things for you? What do you have to have in the decks that you buy? I think I probably rambled on a little bit too long here, but I'd be curious to see what your RWS checklist is comprised of. You don't have to follow mine. Make up your own list and share it with me. What are the things you look for when you buy a deck? I would like to know. And I'm sure other people viewing this would be interested as well. So until next time, enjoy your ongoing trek for the perfect deck.